people have oftentimes said, well, what do I get? What's in it for me? A lot of those are valid questions. I also get a lot of questions on people saying, well, what kind of designation do I get? What kind of designation do I get? And I always kind of said, I think we're asking just a slightly wrong question. Really, it's not that you get a DREI. It's that you become a DREI. And this is an actual big, major process in an instructor's life, because it is something that can literally change lives. And we've witnessed it with literally so many of the DREIs who come back and say, it's not the designation, it was the process of getting it that turned me from an average or pretty good instructor into actually an outstanding instructor. So I guess the question we should start off with, who actually can become a DREI? Well, first of all, as the DREI program is a subset of REEA, you do have to be a REEA member. And actually right now, if you're not a REEA member, this would be a good time to join, because between now and the end of December, December 31st, 2014, the dues have been cut in half. And instead of $149, I believe it's $75. So you just go to the REEA website and sign up. It's a good time to do something like that. So you do have to be a REEA member to become a DREI. You also, what we'll do, we're going to send an application out to you. I shouldn't say send an application. You will be able to get an application from the REEA website. And we have a certain number of points that you have to be able to show that you have before you can go ahead and become part of the DREI program. The reason for this is that the DREI is really not a program for an entry-level instructor, somebody who has not taught before. Although sometimes we have people in the process who haven't had a lot of experience, that is not who it's really aimed at. It's aimed at people who have been in education for some time. And the reason for that is they have to have some experience and some ongoing teaching going on in order to make best use of the DREI mentor program. So actually, to become you have to show that you have been an educator and you have taught at least 500 hours over the last 5 years. Now, believe it or not, it doesn't really necessarily have to be 500 hours in real estate. We've had people who come from other industries and have taught a whole lot of hours, and we will count that because education is basically education. It's just the topic is different. And after you show that you have taught for 500 hours in the last 5 years, and literally you'll just fill that out on the form. You'll say, I taught 30 hours here at this class on these dates at this school, and you just make a list of them. And at the bottom, it has to add to 500 hours. You can do that one. The second thing you have to become a DREI process, you have to show some education and or experience in the real estate field. Education, because most people who come into the real estate DREI program don't really have degrees in real estate. Most of them come in from other industries and other programs. But you have to show some education. So what you have to have is 500 points, and we call them points here. You get 300 points for a college degree. Now, that's a 4-year college degree, a bachelor's, equivalent to a bachelor's degree. So you get 300. If you have 2 college degrees, that's 600, which meets the minimum 500 right through there. But there are also people who are quite effective in the real estate education field who don't have college degrees. So to allow for that, you have to, again, still have 500 points, and you get 100 points for each year of your real estate experience. So everything from listing and selling, you've been involved in it, whatever you've done, as long as it's actively involved in the real estate industry for 5 years, you can do that. And obviously, you can also do a combination. So for example, somebody with a college degree in chemical engineering would get 300 points, and they've been in real estate in one form or another for 2 years. That gives them their 500 points. So you can do that, not only education, but also the experience. The last thing you have to do when you're filling out the form, you have to show that you're also a student. There are many people who got a degree 30 years ago, but really haven't learned much since. And that's not really what we're looking for in DREIs. So you have to show that you have been a student for at least 50 hours in the classroom over the last 5 years. Now, for most people involved in the real estate industry, you have that, more than that, just in your mandatory continuing education requirements through your license. So you just fill that out. You say, I was a student at this or that school. This was the class I took as a student. So you can't double up what you teach and as a student. Those are separate things. So when you get all those points together, if you've got the 500 hours as an educator, if you've got the 500 points in education experience and you've been a student for the last 5 years, that's all you would have to do and be able to send that in. And if you want to, go to REEA.org and click on the DREI, and you should be able to click on candidate application. If you have any trouble, you can contact REEA and they can help you on something like that. You should be able to click on candidate application. It should pop up. Print it out, fill it out, scan it, send it in. You can either mail it in, you can scan it, email it in. There's a number of ways you can do it. But that would be what you'd have to do first. So what a lot of people ask me is that, how do I actually do this? How do I become a DREI? You told me all the points and all that. Well, the first thing you do is you fill out the application, which I just mentioned, and you return that and with a fee of $299. Now, the $299 covers the entire cost of the whole DREI process. The DREI program is not a profit-making thing for REEA or anything like that. It only covers administrative costs. All of the mentors and the DREIs who are involved in given this program, they do this totally gratis. They do it for free. They do not charge anything for that. So that's what you do. You send in the $299 along with your application. And every now and then people ask the question, well, what if I didn't get accepted? If I didn't have enough points or this and that, do I get my $299 back? And the answer is yes. Well, we wouldn't do that to you. So the idea is you send the money in, and then if you were not able to be accepted, we would send it back to you. The most important part of the DREI process, after you fill out the application and everything, you are going to begin the 6-month mentor process. Now, the 6-month mentor process is actually pretty fascinating. I'll talk more about what goes on. But we have where you actually have a phone conversation. It's on free conference call with a mentor and the other people that are involved in this particular program. It lasts 6 months. Our next one will begin in January. So you'll have 6 months, and we meet twice a month in the evenings. And so for about 90 minutes. And once you go through the mentor process in that 6 months, then you're ready to do the finals. And the finals, you have to pass the exam. And the DREI exam, I'll talk about it more in a little bit, but basically it's half the test is on real estate knowledge. It's roughly equivalent to what you need to do to pass your real estate license exam. And then you also, there's 50 questions dealing with what we've just been covering over this last 6 months in the General Accepted Principles of Education and the mentor program. So you have all that information. You pass the test. It's an online test. Most people don't have any trouble with it, so they pass the exam. Then once that happens, the final thing is they pass the video review. Now, the video review is actually what we do now. It's a 50-minute video of you teaching in your classroom. We don't really care what the subject is, as long as it should be real estate related. We want to see how you actually function in the classroom, how you set the room up, all the various things you have just supposedly learned over the last 6 months in the mentor program. See if you've not only listened, but that you found a way to apply it. So that's where you are. That's a fairly simple process, so I probably should explain just a little bit more after the video review what we do next. And this is what you're going to do in the process, in the mentor 6-month process. What we really cover is the General Accepted Principles of Education, or what's known as GAPE. Now, you'll notice GAPE has 5 sections, and the mentor program has 6 months. So what you actually do is the first month is an introduction to the whole thing, and then second month we cover knowledge. The third month we cover andragogy. Andragogy means adult education principles, how to teach adults as adults. The fourth month we do speech. Fifth month we do teaching tools or teaching with technology, things like that. And learning environment is the final of the 6 months. After you've been through all these 6 programs, then 6 months programs, theoretically you're ready to go ahead and finish up the rest of the DREI process. Some people ask, okay, who are these mentors? You know, well, currently, and we have a number of mentors, but this next group, next session that starts in January, we have Lynn Elder, DREI from North Carolina, Mark Barker, that's me, DREI from Kansas City, Carol Murray, who's the DREI, interesting, she just recently moved to Kansas City. We have 2 of them. Sherry Lynn Diamond, DREI from Florida, Alec Haggerty, DREI from Ohio, and Philip Shavy, DREI from Lubbock, Texas. So we cover those particular sections. So the mentors are there to help you. They're willing to answer questions by email or even by phone and things like that if you have any other issues that come up. So that's what's covered in GAPE. So when you walk out of that, you should have been able to apply all of this material during that 6 months while you're regular teaching now. So let me say this again. What we do, so for example, if you had covered knowledge, what we want you to do is that month while you're in there, you're using the tools that we've taught you about knowledge in your classroom. The next month, you go to andragogy, and you not only would be using the tools from knowledge, but you'd also be using the tools from andragogy, and so on with speech, teaching tools, and learning environment. So over that 6-month period, you should have a fairly good working knowledge by the end of the entire GAPE process and be able to show us on your video that you can do that. Once we talk about what, the next question I get from people a lot of times is, are there any books or anything like that? And the answer is yes. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see on the PowerPoint slide, the DREI Council has put together a book called Building Instructional and Presentation Skills. And what that book does, that's what the material is covered in each section. We don't just talk about it on the phone. We give you assignments you work on between the programs. So when people say, well, what do you mean? When do you have this one? Well, the next one's going to begin January 6, 2015. And so right now, I believe we already have 4 or 5, maybe 6 registered for that. So if you're interested, you need to really get on the stick to get that application in. The way it works, we have the programs on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of each month. And it's in the evening. Generally, it depends on your time zones, anywhere between 5 and 7 p.m., somewhere right there is when it starts. So you do that in the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of the month. So for example, in the 1st Tuesday, we would talk about, say, if I was teaching andragogy to you, we would talk about the issues of andragogy. Here's what we would do, and we give you some key assignments that you should be working on in all of your classes the next 2 weeks. You really practice this kind of stuff. And then when you come back on the 3rd Tuesday, we talk about how did that work? Did it work well? Did it not work well? And this is not just a lecture like a webinar kind of thing. This is a whole lot of discussion. We have discussions between all of the people involved in it. So we only have 90 minutes in these sessions. So to do that, we limit it to normally 8 candidates in the DREI Mentor program at any one time, because we actually do want you to be involved. And if there's a whole lot of people, if you've ever been on a conference call with a whole lot of people, it's hard to get a word in edgewise. We don't want to see that. This is an application-based mentor program. So when you get into all these things and get it all going, in January, it'll go January through June. Then the next one will begin in July, nearly 6 months. If perchance we had enough people who really wanted to, and we had too many in that one, we could always start up another one, say halfway or a third of the way through the year. We do have enough mentors to do that if necessary. So after we talk about, who can get it, what is it, when can you get into it, the last question is probably one of the more interesting ones I get from people. It's like, why? Why should I really be involved? Why should I be interested in becoming a DREI? And I guess there's a number of things I could tell you. I could talk about motivational reasons and all that. It's kind of like the phrase you oftentimes hear on the military recruiting, be all you can be. Most people who've been teaching even a number of years, they're pretty good and they've developed a pretty good system, but then the question comes along, is pretty good really good enough? This is an opportunity to take your skill to the next level. I got an interesting letter the other day from a recent DREI who just finished the DREI mentor process, passed the exam, and passed the video. And his name is Eric Story. Eric is a bank executive out of Utah. And he wrote this, and I thought, if you don't mind, Eric, I'll just go ahead and read this to the people on the webinar, because it meant a lot to us. So let me just read what Eric said. He starts off with, Mark, thanks for getting back to me, because I had responded with his evaluation. I'm thrilled to know that I've earned the DREI designation. As I have mentioned before, the process to become a DREI was the best training I have received in my teaching experience. I certainly believe that I learned from the top professionals in the adult real estate education arena. My circumstance is a little unique in that I only teach 3 to 4 times a year. I'm a senior vice president level corporate real estate manager for a major bank who manages a department that focuses on property management, construction management, property management, as well as leasing, buying, and selling real estate. I'm a licensed broker, certified general appraiser, CCIM, and CPM. I teach high-level courses for people seeking designations. I don't teach pre-license. CCIM and CPM designations are some of the highest in the real estate industry. And I've been through both of the IREM and CCIM instructor training programs, which gave me a basic foundation for adult education. But I can honestly say the DREI candidate process helped my development as an instructor more than anything else I've participated in. To me, the most impressive element of the DREI process was the willingness of the people on the DREI mentor program to share your skill set with a person like me who really has a desire for continual improvement as an instructor. Thanks again, Eric. Well, I appreciated what Eric was saying because he said in so many ways exactly what we want to do for people who want to become a DREI. They want to upgrade their skills and are willing to spend just a little bit of time each month, and at the end walk away. They're a different person when they step into the classroom after they become a DREI. Now, there's a couple other things I should mention to you. One of the cool things for you all that are new interested in getting into DREI, when you pay your $299, you actually become a one-year member of the DREI Council. Now, people who are already DREIs are permanent members of the DREI Council, but you have 1 year. And during that 1 year process, you get to go through the entire 6-month mentor process. Then you have another 6 months to pass the exam and get your video completed. But another neat thing about it, you also have an opportunity to attend any of the DREI programs. And what we have in the DREI program, we have the DREI Summit, which is held January each year in a different place. This year, it will be in St. Louis, Missouri at the Sheraton Westport, January 16th to the 18th. Next year, we'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina. They can do that. So if you're interested at all in the summit, which I say, if you want to hang around for a couple of 2 or 3 days with the top real estate teachers in the world, that's where you can come. So it's a really cool place, and I guess I'll say to you new people, don't feel like you're going to be treated badly. Quite the contrary. The DREIs are wonderful to help people. Sometimes, as the old joke, you'll learn more sitting around after the program, sitting around talking to people, than you may learn in the program, and that may be true. But if you want to find out about that, again, go to www.reea.org, and on the left side of the home page, click where it says DREI Summit, and it will pop up all the information we have through there. I guess we've got some other things I have at the end on how you do it at REEA.org and contact information. You can contact Chris at REEA.org. But I guess I should ask Chris, in this situation, I know we've had some questions. Can you give me some of the questions? I'll see if I can answer them.
Well, you've pretty much answered everything already, so that's great. One question that was asked that you haven't addressed yet is, in the video that they do as part of the process, someone was asking, is this just a 50-minute video of one course that they teach, or bits and pieces of multiple courses?
Oh, good question. Yeah, the 50 minutes is a 50-minute section of a class that you teach. We want to just see you in action, see that you learned all the things that we had taught you in the mentor program, and see you put them into action. One other thing, this is not a professional video kind of thing. That doesn't mean anything. Some people hire professionals to come in and do it, and the videos look wonderful, but it doesn't mean anything to the reviewers. The reviewers are reviewing your teaching. So my personal suggestion to most people is just you can do it with an iPod or a smartphone if you wanted to. Put it in the back of the room and record it. And I always tell people, just put it in there where we can see what's going on. We can see the students. We can see you in action, see your movement around the classroom, see how you use the projection system. Did you blank the screen, for example, when you didn't want people watching the screen and that kind of stuff? So that's what you do, just a flat 50-minute segment. And all you have to do once you get that, basically most people just put it in YouTube, and then you can download it or upload it to the REEA.org website for the DREIs. And then it gets reviewed very, very rapidly after that point. Anything else, Chris?
Great. Thank you for the explanation on that. One more question came in. Once you've passed the test, the video, and gone through the mentor program, someone is asking, when and how do you receive your DREI designation?
Good. Remember I talked about the summit. The DREI Summit is the official place where you're actually brought into the fraternity at the summit. All the DREIs that are there will be there to welcome you into the program. It's the official putting in. But you actually get the DREI as far as the designation part the minute you pass the video. And you have to do them in that order. You have to go through the mentor program, pass the exam, and then pass the video. So, for example, if you passed it in August and we didn't have a DREI Summit until January, you would become a DREI in August when you pass the mentor program. You receive certificates and plaques and all the various things you're supposed to get when you receive a designation, and you're then authorized to use the DREI designation in your advertising and things like that. So, or send it into real estate commissions. For example, a number of states will give you automatic approval for as an instructor if you're going to be speaking or teaching in their states for CE or something, if you're a DREI. So you would be able to use that information right there and then call yourself a DREI and use it as far as getting approval in those states right after passing the video.
Perfect. Thank you. I think the last question that's come in is they're asking if you could provide the slides that you are going through today for them to view. And if it's okay with you, Mark, we'll just upload them to the REEA website under the DREI section.
That'd be just fine.
Super. Well, it doesn't look like anybody else has any questions. Do you have anything else to add, Mark?
No, other than I want to thank the people for taking the time to sit down and think about this. And I want to say that we at the DREI program, the Leadership Council, we are primarily what we call givers as opposed to takers, and that's what we do. We want people to get better. A lot of us have been teaching a number of years, but we have a lot of relatively young DREIs also who haven't. And what we're trying to do is bring new people into the, I'm going to use the term fraternity, the DREI program, and where you have not only the personal knowledge support, but you also have the emotional support. And when you can turn around, most people don't realize, but I can, at this very moment, I can contact probably at least 50 DREIs at any one time, contact them and say, do you have a course on this or that if I needed something like that? I've always been surprised, not only do they say yes, most of the time, I mean, shoot, I've had them turn around and send me the whole course and say, sure, you can use it, that's just fine. So those things just have been wonderful for me as a DREI, and I would encourage you all to get in there and become part of that also.
The one thing that I could add is being a member of REEA, and even with the DREIs, it is just a big family, and we do share and care about each other. So it's a great program. Thank you for presenting this today, Mark.
Thank you, Chris, and thank our attendees.
Thank you, yes. A couple of things before we log off. If you're interested in becoming a member of REEA and you're not currently a member, you can visit us at REEA.org, click on membership, and you can join right there. We also have a link under the membership that will give you the many benefits available to you as a REEA member. Right now, currently, we are holding a membership drive which ends on December 31st. So if you're not a member and interested in becoming a member, now is a really good time. You can receive a substantial discount on your first year's membership dues. The other thing I just wanted to tell everybody about is in June of 2015, we will be having our annual conference that will be held in Storrs, Connecticut at the University of Connecticut. If you're interested in learning more about our conference, you can find information on our homepage on the left side. You'll see the Join the 2015 conference. So I'd encourage you to look at the information there, and if you have the opportunity to join us, you do not have to be a member of REEA to join us. Also, if you are an instructor currently out there and you would like to present at the 2015 REEA conference, we are now taking RFP applications. You can find that on the event page under the conference under documents. If you have any questions regarding REEA or today's seminar, I would encourage you to give me a call at 520-609-2380, or you could always email me at kris@reea.org. Thank you, everyone, and have a super holiday season.